Once again, thank you all for coming, and a big thank you to the executives for inviting me. I'm Dr. Sophiat, a lecturer in the School of Computing, and I am hoping that at the end of this event, of my talk, actually, this is not going to be a well-tailored, list of advice and everything style of event. I want to share my story with you guys. And I'm hoping that you can draw insights and energy and inspiration from them. Because quite frankly, I believe our background is not very different. And when many people hear about, so when many people look at my profile or see what I've been up to, they begin to make assumptions in their head that she probably grew up in the UK, she probably studied here, she probably had help, she probably had exposure, she probably had access to so many opportunities and, all of these things. And quite frankly, I don't. And that's not how I grew up. So, and I truly believe, like Dr. 𝘉𝘦𝘺𝘰𝘯𝘥 said, we did not have this sort of opportunities when we were starting our PhD, or even way before the PhD. We pretty much winged and freestyled to get to, to get to the University of Glasgow and to get to some point in our academic career where we started realizing some self-awareness and looking back and reflecting and identifying our strengths and seeing how it has gotten us to where we are. So for you to have access to this information, to learn from people's experiences, to learn from their mistakes, I think it's a huge, huge win for you. And what that means is if we can be where we are today, with all of the struggles we went through, with not knowing and having the right information, then you have a huge work ahead of you. That's why I always tell the people I talk to that in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, I want to see you doing better than me, because now you are equipped with all of this information and nothing should stop you from aiming farther than anything in the world. So let's just get into the talk. All right, it's there's power in story, and it's important for us to know how to tell it. Because if you don't tell your story, who else will? You lived it. It's your lived experience anyway. So my story is that of a girl who grew up on this street in Lagos. I was born in Lagos. This is where I grew up. This is 𝘉𝘦𝘺𝘰𝘯𝘥 Street. Many of you probably know this. Fantastic. See, we probably walk past each other. Yeah, I grew up in Lagos, and I mean, the typical bike man, you don't see high rises where we grew up. People working very hard to earn their day-to-day. And this is my mom's store, right there, 6 𝘉𝘦𝘺𝘺𝘰𝘯𝘥 Street. That shop is where I grew up. I would wake up as early as 6 a.m. in the morning to open my mom's store, sell stuffs for her, and it is the money we make from selling in the morning that my mom would give us to go to school. Like, I was the first child of 5, so let me set the scene. And as a first child, being a lady, I think at the age of 13, they couldn't wait for me to be a teenager. I started being responsible very early, and I would wake up, open the shop and make sales. And then the money we get in the morning, we used to go to school. So this was my school, Regular Memorial Baptist Girls, secondary school in 𝘉𝘦𝘺𝘺𝑗𝑎𝑏. And I would, typically walk about 5 to 10 minutes to get to Abiodun bus stop to take the bus to go to school. But then back in school, we don't have, career. I can't remember anyone coming to our school to talk to us about these are the potential career options out there for you, or if you're good at this subject, this is what you could do with your life. Or I can't remember that happening ever. The only saving grace I had when I was in secondary school was that I was very good at maths. And when I graduated my secondary school, when I did my WAEC, I had an A in maths. So, but if you ask me then in school, what do I want to be when I grow up? I'll tell you I want to be an architect. Why? Because that's all I saw. My dad was an architect. My mom has a local store. She barely finished her secondary school. She doesn't have a university education. My dad doesn't even have a university education. He went to a technical school to learn architecture. We don't get visits from professionals. We don't have access to careers day. I'm the first in my family to go to a university to get a PhD. So tell me, how do I want to become something I can't see? Right? But I was really good at maths. And when I go back home from school, continue helping my mom in the store, she would send us to Mushin, send us to Bariga, sometimes Lagos Island, to help her restock. We make inventory. I was good at selling at the time. I think those are some of the skills that stay with me till today. I became an entrepreneur at a very young age. I started making beads and making money from it, teaching people how to make craft and all of those. And when we are done at the end of the day, you see this canal right here? It's down at the Bajulaiye market. Right beside this canal is where my Arabic school was. Around 7 p.m., I would close up my mom's shop, then go to what we call 𝘉𝘦�ឍ, that's Arabic school. I would go to the Arabic school right beside this canal. They have built some stuffs on top of it now. Out in the open from 7 to 10 p.m. every single day. We would open my mom's store 365 days a year, minus 2 days, the Eid days. And those days, it's not like we're resting. We're hosting people and having guests over. So this was how I grew up. Now imagine where I am now. Could you picture, the struggles that I must have gone through to get to where I am today? I decided to lay this story just to give you context and to let you know that if I can be where I am today, like I said, I trust you to do more than I can. When I finished secondary school, I was age 15, and then my dad just came home one day and brought this desktop computer, and this opened up the world of computing for me. Remember I said I wanted to be an architect, but the moment this desktop came home, I was playing with Solitaire, I was playing with Paint. Then my dad sent me to a computer school. Then I learned desktop publishing, CorelDRAW, Microsoft Word. I just enjoyed being in front of the computer. There was a secondary school right in front of my house. I would type the exams for them. I started making money. I started designing. I was very good with creating. And just because of that, I decided I wanted to study computer science in school, just because I had access to that. In 2005, when I finished, I chose the University of Lagos. I was rejected for computer science. And in 2006, the same thing. I was rejected. In 2007, I would choose University of Lagos first choice, second choice, computer science. And then if they don't give me computer science, I would want to change course to the weirdest of subjects. Even if it is business education, just accept me to this university. But I wasn't lucky. I didn't get in. But on the third try, my dad told me to make University of Lagos, just take this off. You've been trying, it's not working. So I decided to choose University of Ibadan on my third try. And then I still wanted to study computer science at the University of Ibadan. But I didn't get in, and I was offered industrial engineering or mathematics. But because I still nurtured that passion of mathematics, when they offered me mathematics as a change of course, I just jumped on it. You know what? We are done. So I got into the University of Ibadan in 2008 to study mathematics. And again, at the time, if you asked us, what would you do with mathematics? I had no idea. Some people would even tell me, do you want to become a math teacher? I didn't even know math was a subject because I couldn't comprehend it. I thought math was just, calculation, differentiation, integration, doing basic plus and minus. What can you do with math? But these are the things I wish we had when we were growing up, because if only somebody just told us that with these math skills you have, you could do this, you could do that, you could work at NASA, you could, Catherine, you saw the story of Catherine Henderson, the woman who designed the equations that pushed the moon craft to moon. And that's all the power of math. If only I even saw that type of movie growing up. But I can't remember what we were watching growing up. Super Story. Maybe someone. Yeah, but don't blame me. Again, you can only see as far as your eyes can take you. So I finished from UI, but while I was in the university, I consistently nurtured my passion for mathematics and computer science. So my dad bought me a laptop. Those laptops, if you open the hinges and you press P, S is pressing. One of those laptops that it's they probably are not using it anymore. It's out of deck, but that's what I got, and it meant the world to me. And I sustained my interest in computing science. I remember there was a strike at the universities in Nigeria. ASU strike all the time. I think it was 2008 or 2009. It was about 3 months strike. And during that time, I went to learn web design. So I learned Microsoft Dreamweaver, HTML, CSS, all of those. And I always wanted to take computer science courses at the University of Ibadan. I would take courses on PHP. Something just kept drawing me with computing. I didn't know anything about computer science apart from Microsoft Word and CorelDRAW designs when I was a student at the university. But I would go to the computer science department, try to take courses, talk to some of the students, some of the lecturers, but they weren't that friendly. I remember taking a course PHP, and the first 2 classes, there was this pile of paper. We were not coding at all. We were reading. Like, is this not a programming course? Are we not supposed to be coding? Within a few weeks, I deleted it. Like, I can't let this course destroy my CGPA. And then, few academic year later, I took a course on algorithms and data structures. The same thing, the same passion and things pulling you towards something. Algorithms and data structures wasn't making sense as well. A few courses like that, I just deleted. So the only thing I knew about computing at the time were just the surface, designs and the likes. But luckily for me, I graduated with a first class with mathematics, at the University of Ibadan. And when I finished, talking to friends and people that are like, wow, first class, mathematics, that's incredible. You can get a scholarship and you can do so much with this. And that led me to start looking at graduate schools. And the rejections kept pouring in. And this is something that I am glad happened to me early on in my career. At the time, it felt like the village people were after me. It didn't make sense because, why would you keep, I applied to, I did TOEFL, I did GRE, I paid for application fee, I applied to Imperial, I applied to Aberdeen, Bristol, many schools, funding does not work through because where I come from, my parents cannot pay. So scholarship was the way to go. And with my first class, I thought I had a shot, but it was not enough at the time. We had to do more. So, but something interesting about this beautiful red rejection is that they helped me build my resilience muscle. And I've realized that resilience is something you build in motion. You can't build resilience with fear of failure. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep applying. And you can't avoid failure in life. Like right now, this year, I've applied to numerous grants and I have gotten rejection in 90%. I've only got 1 grant application this year. And every time I receive that rejection email, it's like somebody's pushing a knife through my heart. It stings. But I realize also that through the process of getting those rejections, I grow so much. I learn a lot. The writing, the reaching out to people, the figuring stuff out in my head. What works for me? What do I find interesting? Where do I want to position myself? These are questions you find answers to from trying, not from staying back. Somewhere amidst all of the rejections, somebody sent me an application to 𝘉𝘕-Ghana. I actually didn't want to go to this. I'm like, I don't want to go to Ghana. I just want to leave Africa entirely. But I'm glad I did because it led me to Glasgow. 𝘉𝘕 was started by Professor 𝘉𝘕𝘰𝘯𝘥. He's a theoretical physicist and he believes the next Einstein would be from Africa. So 20, 30 years ago, he started 𝘉𝘕, African Institute for Mathematical Sciences. They have about 6 or 7 roughly centers in Africa. They started in South Africa, they are in Ghana, they are in Rwanda, they are in Tanzania, they are in Cameroon. And I got accepted to 𝘉𝘕-Ghana. And I moved to Ghana in 2014. So it was when I was at 𝘉𝘕 that I got exposed to Python programming for the first time. I mean, I've been trying to learn programming, but they want us to read stacks of books and write codes on paper. I got exposed to Python programming and graph theory. I didn't even know there was something called graph theory for real. Nancy exposed me to graph theory. Nancy is from Pacific University in Oregon. Little did I know that God has destined this to be my path to Glasgow. So I was exposed to Python programming for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks at 𝘉𝘕, and another pothole opened. The moment I figured out what programming was, I would stay in the computer lab at 𝘉𝘕 for hours. I coded almost every day, Scratch almost every single day. I was coding every single day, and I enjoyed mathematics. So combining my problem solving skills and the programming skills I just got, it opened up another world to me. But the 2 weeks wasn't enough at AIMS. So I went to Coursera. Coursera sabi me very well. Always applying for financial aid. I took the programming for everybody course by Chuck Severance. But these certificates were great. Like, they were really great. But they weren't what got me to where I am today. It's the ability to showcase the skills I got from these platforms. So while I was learning all of those, like I said, I was coding every day, and that was building another muscle in me. You can't keep learning courses online and, racking certificates and not being able to show something for it. You have to build your portfolio. You have to be confident. If you get in front of somebody who wants to hire you right now, let's say it's a software engineering job or a program management or something, and they give you a computer and a problem, and they ask you, code this, you should be able to on the spot. That's how you build your skills, not by packing certificates. But these are great ways to show that you've gone through the process. So these were some of the things I picked up at AIMS within the space of 10 months that I was there. Towards the end of my master's thesis at AIMS, I had to do my project, my dissertation. This lady introduced me to graph theory, and the first day she came to AIMS, the first thing I told her was, you are going to be my master's thesis supervisor. I don't know how or why, but when I looked up her course, graph theory, it was a course at the intersection of math and computing science. Graph theory is theoretical computing science. It allows you to combine math and computing in a nice way. And I thought this is the best way for me to exercise, my passion for computing. So I worked with Nancy during my master's, and within 3 months, I built a software, a graph algorithm, implemented the software, contributed it to the Python library. I have a few students I'm supervising now who've implemented new softwares that we're adding to the Python library. But what I want to take from this is that I learned programming in August 2014, and by 2015, I have implemented a software. Again, that's massive. The quick way to translate your knowledge and to contribute to the scientific community. So I was able to do that, and my master's dissertation wasn't published. I hadn't published anything before I started my PhD, but I did something I was proud of. So I was able to do this, and I was proud of that. And finishing from AIMS again, I graduated as the valedictorian. I finished with a distinction at AIMS Ghana, and thank you. And afterwards, more graduate school, more rejections. So naturally, when I was at AIMS, I met so many people from all over the place. The thought of what can you do with your skills, like people telling you for real, like, these are the skills I see based on talking to you, and I think you should chase them. I think you're a great speaker. I didn't know that before. I know I'm a talkative, but I didn't know you could translate that into your career. And I think you are very passionate about this and that. I think you should consider research, like research. Are you sure? So talking to people that are seeing your potential, like there is nothing as beautiful as people giving you positive reinforcement and letting you know that these are things that you can do, and these are the amazing stuff that you're even yet to tap into. So this was a community I built at AIMS and the networking that I tapped into. But it didn't happen by me sitting, right? I had to reach out to these lecturers every time they came. I'm sure I'm not the only one that finished from AIMS that had, all of this access to them, but there are not a lot of us that were able to be recommended by the lecturers that came to AIMS. So when they told me about graduate school, and some of them would send me applications for where to consider for PhD. And the good thing as well is I now had people that can give me recommendation letters. I was applying to graduate school, more rejections. In fact, I remember applying to a school with someone who got the scholarship. We were both in the lab that day. He opened his own email. He was like, "Ooh, University of Waterloo just gave me a scholarship. Sophie, have you received anything?" I said, "Nothing." And finally, when I got my own email, it was rejection. And I was like, me, I finished with distinction. This person did not finish with distinction. What is going on here? Well, life has its own way of working, but I was slowly learning and building my own resilience muscle and enhancing my portfolio. And then I went back to AIMS to work as a TA. My programming experience and my qualification, like graduating as the best graduation student, led me back. The academic director thought, no, we can't have our valedictorians sitting around just applying. And so I went back to AIMS to work as a TA to teach programming. And when they reached out to me that we heard that you know Python programming, would you like to come back? Somebody in this room might have said, oh no, sir, no, I'm not ready to teach you, no. As at that time, I wasn't even at a pace where you would say that I am an expert. What is expert? I'm still not an expert. But I was already at a stage where I was comfortable because I believe the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I was always bold enough to jump at opportunity, and I started teaching Python within 1 year of learning Python. And I continuously learned from there, teaching, empowering people. And when I was at AIMS, Professor Uli came back to teach modern topics in algebra. He's a professor in the School of Maths at Glasgow. Then he has now moved to Germany. And we're just talking about my interest and, you know, why am I still here at AIMS? He would have thought I would have gotten some scholarship, told him about all the rejection, and told him about the library I implemented, the Hopcroft-Kappa algorithm, and told him about how my master's was on something to do in matchings, and that I enjoy theoretical computer science, and that as much as I love maths, I don't see myself doing a 4-year PhD in pure maths. So he caught on the matchings I mentioned. Then he said he has a friend at Glasgow, Professor David, who works with the NHS to design kidney exchange algorithms, and that he uses matchings algorithm, and that he thinks that I'm an amazing student and that I will enjoy working with David, that he's going to recommend me to David and introduce me, and we'll see where we go from there. This is the last shot of me thinking that I would even get to Glasgow, because there was no scholarship potential opportunities at the time. It was just getting me connected to someone. But this is something I also want to draw out, guys. This is the power of positioning and networking and speaking up. Because if when Uli came to AIMS Ghana, I hadn't spoken to him, shown him my interest, no professor would recommend you to someone if they are not 100% sure that you have what it takes, because they don't want you to mess them up. So, and I still don't know what he told David till today, but I know the moment I emailed David, like, you know, from my Ghana there, he reached out and set up a meeting and told me about the College of Science and Engineering scholarship that is highly, highly competitive. I'm like, how bad can it get? I've been rejected anyway. What's one more no? And, you know, there is maybe 7 scholarships for the entire college, and that's the only scholarship they have for international students, that I'll give it a shot. So I had to write a research proposal. I remember then it was December. I went back home for holiday. I was sitting in my mom's bedroom writing that research proposal, trying to figure things out. And my mom was screaming, Sophia, you've been at that computer since morning. Won't you come to this shop and sell something? You're not going to eat today. I'm like, Mommy, I'm trying to finish this PhD application. She said, what is PhD? Anyway, yeah, those are the struggles back then. But yeah, packaged the PhD application, submitted it, and within the space of 1 month, I got this scholarship. I submitted my PhD application in January, and February 25, 2016, I got my fully funded offer to come to Glasgow to do computing. And the journey from doing mathematics to not knowing what the future holds, to not knowing what you will do with maths, to, you know, being exposed to Python and self-studying your way into computing science and getting a PhD to come study computing science. It was really hard. Starting the PhD, I was hit with cultural shock, loneliness, self-doubt, you know, imposter syndrome. Oh my God. I would be in the seminar room. People would be talking about research. And then I'll be like, should I know what they are saying? I don't know anything about all of this. But thank God, my PhD supervisor really, really helped. He reminded me that my maths background is what sets me apart, and that, you know, showcasing all of the things I've done with my Python skills shows them that I am adaptable and that I can learn quickly. And, you know, he told me really great stuff about myself, and that helped me get through the PhD. You know, started writing papers. The moment you get one publication, it kind of gives you the confidence that you have what it takes. So when I started the PhD, within the space of 1 year, we started the Nigerian Students Society. And something about me, I've realized is I'm a problem solver, and I'm passionate about bringing people together, building bridges, and using my management and organizational skills efficient. I'm very efficient with organization. And, what led to the Nigerian Students Society? At the time, pounds was against Naira, it was 370, I think, or 400. And initially it was 250 when we came in 2016. But some Nigerian students whose funding was from PTDF were giving their funding in Naira. And by the time they converted it to pounds to pay their tuition, the scholarship was finished within the space of 2 years. And students were struggling, some of them having to go back home, and the university did not know they were struggling. So when I heard the news of those, also walking the streets of Glasgow, you see some black faces. Hi, hello, you don't know who is who. You want to speak your language. You're looking for a community. Now we can come together and, speak Yoruba if we want, or speak Hausa, or speak Igbo. You have no idea how amazing that is. That did not exist when we started at Glasgow. Everybody is Oyo. And then you are walking in the rain. Sometimes you are crying. You don't know if it is rain or tears because the PhD is jabbing you, and, there's just struggles all over, and you don't have a community that understands the struggle. So as a problem solver that I am, that was what led me to starting the Nigerian Students Society in 2017. And this was our launch event. I would go to the school and say, this is the idea I have. This was the School of Computing Science. I was passionate and I was audacious. I used to say that I have the ability to knock on doors that some people would not even walk past. That's who I am. And that's a skill that has gotten me to where I am today. I would knock on the door of the head of school and say, sir, I need just 3 minutes. And then I'll sit down and start talking. I'm done 3 minutes. I'm about to leave and wait for you to give me feedback. And he'll say, yeah, no, sit down. I want to hear more about what you're saying or what you're doing. So some people are afraid to walk up to maybe the principal of Glasgow, but these guys are so approachable. As long as you are confident, it's all about you. It starts from within. If they see your light and the way you move into your space, they would want to be aligned with you. We started the Nigerian Students Society, and I was also involved in community engagement. From the PhD, that's Science Slam. This is another Science Slam. That is me at the primary school. I was involved in Pint of Science, and not being closed off. You can't just come to Glasgow to do a master's and think you just need to focus on your degree and graduate and that's it. In the world we are now, that's not enough. You need to show more, especially if you're looking at careers after school, whether it's academia, whether it's industry. What sets you apart? What are you bringing to the table that is different from your degree? Okay, everybody that submitted a CV has a first class. Why should we select you? All of those things you need to find out while you're a student. And the best time is now. You need to maybe find opportunities to intern. I know there are some communities that I'll be talking to you later. Black Professional Scotland, and there's Black and Scott. You need to attend events. You need to make yourself useful. I love that she's saying that she told our president at GCU that she's great at organizing events, being an MC, and she's here today doing it. Who knows where the road will lead for her? Maybe I'll have an event and invite her just because of what I've heard. You need to own up who you are, find your superpowers, and use them to your power, to your own use. Make use of what you have and find value within your community. Use whatever you have to make impact within your community. It's important because that's how people will remember you. And then CSC Africa came. Again, this was something I started in 2018. Imagine doing a PhD that is already hard enough. For me, I didn't do an internship. I somehow knew immediately I started my PhD what my own career path would be. It's all about teaching and giving back. I'm not really keen about maybe working as a software engineer or maybe building something for company. I love building people to do stuff. And I love teaching, and I love making an impact. And, another story led to Computer Science Academy Africa. Somebody at my university wanted to pay me to teach them Python programming. And I thought, I didn't pay to learn this thing. I was lucky to get selected for a scholarship. Then I realized not everyone gets a scholarship. There are lots of us in Nigeria alone, not to talk of Africa. And some of them are even exceptionally brilliant than we are. But maybe they've just not gotten lucky. What if I could go back and empower them with 2 weeks of Python programming? Maybe they would also figure out how to get to where I am today. And that was what led to CSA in 2018. And when I had this idea, I walked up to Finola. We were both tutors. I was tutoring on the Python course then. I walked up to a few of my tutors in the school, and they were like, yes, they would love to go to Africa with me. But then where would we find the money? Then I went to the head of school again, knocked on his door, told him about my idea, and I said, this is going to be really good for the school. It's international outreach, blah, blah, blah. And he told us to write up a proposal. We did, submitted it to the school, and the school gave us about £10,000. Just like that. The first time, I was like, whoa, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that was how we ran our first workshop. The second workshop, they told us about Chancellor's Fund. Now the school was invested. They loved the impact that came. We went to the University of Ibadan in 2018. They loved the impact that came from that, the news, the headline, everything. And, painted using social media to tell your story, painted University of Glasgow doing this, helping youth, young kids in Africa. And then I won the University of Glasgow World Changer Award. And then I featured in the newspaper, like the school just kept throwing camera at me at every point. And also because I love talking, it was natural. But then I realized that I was slowly building value. That's something I didn't know at the time. I was building value. I was adding something for the school. And towards the end of my PhD, I'm just going to wrap this up quickly. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Towards the end of my PhD, now came the time for me to look forward to what comes next. We consistently got funding from the school to run most of our activities, and we are still doing till today. In July, we are going to the University of Nairobi in Kenya to run another workshop. Towards the end of my PhD, trying to figure out what comes next. And I went to my line manager and, started talking to him. Then he was like, Sophia, you're really amazing and you make a great addition to the school and we want to keep you. He just told me that. And I said, okay, how is that going to happen? Then he told me to go to the head of school again. I went back to the head of school, knocked on his door. Then I started rambling on about how I'm, looking for a job and thinking of if there's something for me in the school. Then the head of school asked me directly, Sophia, what do you want? And I said, I want a lectureship job in the school. I see myself growing to become a professor and I enjoy research and teaching. And then he said, done. Go talk to Tanya and she would work up something for you. Just like that, guys. I didn't submit a CV. I didn't do any interview. I didn't do anything. I later did. I got a 2-year, fixed contract as a lectureship in 2020, even before I submitted my PhD. Before I passed my PhD, they gave me the letter. How many people do they do that for? Like, if you want someone, if you're looking for an opportunity in a company, in an organization, why you? Why should they keep you? What's something you bring that if you are no longer there, they will know that you are missing? Ask yourself that question. You want to find ways to do that. So I got 4 jobs, actually. When we went to Ibadan in 2019, the vice chancellor offered me a job. I was like, thank you very much, sir. And then somewhere in January, before I submitted my PhD, I was headhunted by Google. I did the first phase of the interview, and I didn't want to. Of course, I would take it if there was no job because I need money, but I kept it on the side. And then I applied for a postdoc. That was the only thing I applied for. I got that as well. But the moment I got my lectureship job, I just rejected everything else. And imagine getting 4 jobs and only applying for 1. Where people are applying for 50 jobs and they're not even getting 1. It's important to position yourself nicely and find ways to add value wherever you find yourself. So, and when I started my lectureship job, an opportunity that academia presents for you also is the UK Global Talent Visa. Being able to publish papers and then now in academia with a vision to continue to contribute to the research landscape in the UK, but also the Computer Science Academy Africa I started, thinking it was a small idea, thinking that that's just me giving back, has now come to become, something great that adds to my portfolio. The UK, as you know, they enjoy the collaboration between UK and Africa, contributing to international development. And if you're able to evidence that you meet that quota, they see that, wow, there's potential here. So when I submitted my UK Global Talent application, I went through the peer review channel, CSC Africa was like an entire paragraph. in my personal statement because it shows so many skills: leadership, taking initiative, just attention to detail, strategic vision, reaching out to partners, and all of those. So this is something that if you're able to, be strategic pretty much, it's not impossible for you to have. So my question to you now is, what's your story? As you can see from everything I've said, I didn't dump my identity. I didn't let go of who I am. It was actually those things that makes me unique that set me apart in the space I found myself. So something I really want you to reflect on is what we all have a story. Okay? See the way I started my own from the streets of 𝘉𝘦𝘺𝘰𝘯𝘥 Bajulaiye to where I am now. What's your story? And how are you making it work for you? Okay? Think a bit about that. At the same time, what are your superpowers? These are very important. Many people dump what makes them natural and what comes easy to them, and they chase things that, maybe it's the trend or it's, what they expect that they should be doing. What are your superpowers? For me, it's being persuasive. Just walking up to anyone and asking them for what I want. Confidence, problem solving, coding, teaching. Teaching is one of my superpowers as well. And communication and, adaptability, building teams, building bridges. Building bridges is one strong thing I have. I would see an opportunity, I would see a problem, and I would immediately be building the bridges in my head. And I would walk up to somebody I think can help, and I'll pitch my idea to them. And the next thing is, oh, that's amazing, that's fantastic. Okay, I think we can do it this way. With CSA Africa, we've something I also did recently, running our workshop this year. We really need money. We are still desperate. If anyone knows where to apply for funding, please help a girl out. We are close to filling up our quotas, but we are not there yet. But I remember that, wait, Anton, the principal, you should know Anton, right? Anton Muscatelli. When I started running CSA, he would retweet my tweets. He would like everything. Apparently he was seeing what I was doing. Guys, people are watching. Okay, whatever it is you're doing, don't keep quiet about it. Make sure that you make noise about yourself loudly. Because if you don't do it, BBC will not do it for you. You are the storyteller of your story. So just for me, naturally, I put out my work out there. Apparently people were watching. And then whenever they have visitors coming to the university, the vice chancellor would send words to invite me to his house for dinner. And we would be at the dinner table. Then I was a PhD student. I remember one of the events, I even went with my sneakers and jeans, and I was almost hiding under the table because all those big guys were in suits. And he was introducing me as, this is Sophia, she's my colleague. I'm like, colleague, ke? I'm not your colleague. Introducing me to the guys like, she's a colleague at the university and she's running our international outreach in Africa. She's doing amazing. Like the way the principal painted what I'm calling a small idea, I was like, wow, okay, I'm a big woman. Let me be proud of myself. But what I'm trying to get out of here is I emailed the principal earlier this year because we were running out of places to look for funds. Like, sir, Sophia, I hope you remember me. This, that. And we are looking for fundings. This, that. I really hope to hear from you soon. I wasn't even sure if he would respond to that email. And guess what? Within a week, he responded. Hi, Sophia. Good to hear from you. So sorry you're struggling. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to give you £4,000 from my grant. And I'm also going to do this. And I'm also going to do that. Then he copied his chief of staff. Talk to Fiona. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, people are really watching. And when the time comes when you need help, it is those communities, those work you've done silently that would speak for you. So again, your superpowers, they are important. Don't let go of him. Don't let go of them. Your job is, if you have to spend 1 month figuring out, what do I do naturally? Sophia can talk all day. That's her own superpower. How about me? What comes natural to me that Sophia cannot do? And which space can I tap into to harness this superpower, to be seen, to be known, and to be valuable? Please make sure you do that. And value, pretty much, we just talked about that. What steps are you taking to become indispensable? Everything I was doing from the moment I came to Glasgow to the moment I graduated were slowly making me become indispensable. And that worked out in my favor. And community, should make this really bold so you can get out of the slide. You have to be surrounded by people who inspire you and advocate for you. If you listen very closely, you would see that how I got to Glasgow, it was networking. It was a community. How I got my job, he was a community, was networking. How I'm slowly progressing and continuing to work within the space I am, it is still community. It is still networking. Now I'm using LinkedIn more. I as much as I love to talk, I used to be afraid of social media. I don't know how to talk about my work or my wins or my achievements, but I am trying because I realize that we cannot keep ourselves in our local Glasgow space. You need to use social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, pick one and use it very well, whatever works for you. And since I have started using LinkedIn, I am now building a global community. People are now reaching out from different parts of the world, seeing what I'm doing, providing support and helping. And I know that it's just getting started. As I am now with everything I said, I am still figuring things out. I am sharing more. I'm getting more clarity. Sincerely, guys, clarity comes from data. The more stuffs you do, the more you quickly figure out, okay, these are the things that work for me. Let me focus on that. These are the things I don't enjoy. Let me leave that. Clarity comes from data. How many data have you gathered throughout your life to figure out what you want to spend your time doing and how you want to harness your own unique self to give back to the community you are in. But while you are doing that, make sure that you don't joke with networking. You all said you came here for networking. So make sure you don't joke with that. Many of the opportunities you would probably get in the future would come from somebody referring you. So please surround yourself with people who inspire you and who would advocate for you. I was in the US 2 years ago to speak at an event, and that was an event that I got invited to by Nancy. Nancy, who was my master's thesis supervisor. Every now and then I'll keep in touch with her, let her know how I'm getting on with life and what I'm doing and what my skills are. And then she sat on the committee for Mathematical American Association, and they said they were looking for speakers and they were going to pay as well and cover all my travel fee and everything. So she said she just thought about me like, Sophia is amazing. She's female. She's this. And that it's just a bunch of white men that were usually attending and speaking as keynotes. She just added my name in the list of people to be invited. And then the guys went to my website and looked at it, some of my videos, and they invited me as one of the keynotes at the Mathematical American Association festival that happened 2 years ago. And from that, I got another talk, which I just came back from in Chicago this year. And that's the power of advocacy. What are you doing in such a way that people will be speaking for you in rooms where you're not? Like, do you have stuff you've done in your past right now that is speaking for you? Because those are where opportunities and things that you can't even begin to fathom would come in. Who am I? Do I even know what MAA is? Or, opportunity to go speak for them. But again, this is where the power of community and networking comes in. And I really hope that my story, to some extent, I have used it to inspire you and hopefully add some spice to today and bring a bit of spark back to your heart. I believe you can. You can do anything you put your heart to, guys, because you can even do better than me. Because again, like I said, I did not have all of this exposure and opportunity growing up and in the beginning. So you can find me on LinkedIn if you just scan that barcode, and I will open up my email, my DM, so that don't email me, guys. LinkedIn is the fastest way to reach me. Email is just saturated. But I'll open up my DM so that you can message me. I have over 2,500 connections, and I may not be able to quickly see that somebody here is connecting. So I want you to just drop me a message on LinkedIn so that I will know that you want to connect and I can easily connect with you. And again, I am hoping that I will draw energy from you guys in this room as well. And there's a reason I want to connect, so that you can see more of what I'm doing. Maybe in the future, you guys will be in a position to help provide funding, provide advice, provide guidance, or just refer me to somebody within your space that can help me to create more opportunities for me. So thank you very much, guys. And thank you to the host for forgiving me, because I know that I have gone over my time. Thank you, guys.